Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Post-Game Show. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Brian Davis. What's up, guys? How's it going? Brian, what's up?
Oh, wow. Feeling good, feeling happy. You know, opening day so much better when you could leave with a win.
Absolutely. Dave Schofield, what's up?
I'm still trying to calm down. I got a bit of a headache from all the screaming. I tell you, investing in the jersey from my wife being Chris Boswell has been a great investment. Wow, it just there's so many things that are concerning, but then so many things that I thought would be that weren't. There's so much to break down from this, but as Brian said, getting the W is the biggest thing.
Winning correct. That's what they always say, right? That's what they say. Winning correct. We have a lot to discuss here, and we have some super chats already coming through. Tyler W gives us $4.99. He said something for the stat geek, RIP. When was the last time we had an opening drive touchdown and 4 total passing touchdowns? That's
Both,
interesting.
I can do individually.
Yeah.
Individually, I know the last time that the Steelers had 4 passing touchdowns anytime was in 2020 in the wild card loss. They had 4 passing touchdowns in it was earlier that season. In 2020, I'm pretty sure it was against the Cincinnati Bengals during the 2020 season. They had 4 regular season passing touchdowns was November. And the last time they had an opening drive touchdown, I think, was against Cincinnati in 2023. But when all of those things happened, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you when it was both. So I can do them individually, but when you combine them together, I have that's a tough one. But a good question.
You know what you say, Dave, is check out Pittsburgh Standard Time this week, and I'll have your answer for you. Dave, you gotta tease it, Dave. You gotta
if I
tease
can
it.
remember. Okay,
Captain,
I'll see if I can find the combination there.
There you go. Captain Underpants gives us $5. It says, our new guys contributed today, Ramsey or Rodgers? Who gets the game ball? Can we talk about Boz being the best in the world? Chris Boswell deserves every penny. If he wants more money, give him whatever he wants. Like, I mean, seriously, if he wants $5 more million, sure, give him $5 more million. They have cap space to do it. But let's talk real quick. We'll skip the knee-jerk reaction, so to speak. Who gets your game ball, Brian?
Wow, I got to give it to Aaron Rodgers. It's just the command that he had. It was a fun offense, but he had the command.
Yeah. Dave, what about you?
I'll maybe let Jeff go with special teams. I don't know if he will there or not.
No, screw that. I'm not going to special teams. You can take it if you want.
Oh, no. Because honestly, there's another one. I think Ben Skoranek for both special teams and offensive touchdown. He catches the first touchdown. He gets the recovery there. That's a big one. But if you only let me say one. But you know who I really wanted to say.
What, Chris Boswell?
Oh, yeah, I want to say Boswell.
I was going to go a different direction no matter what.
Okay,
Chris Boswell's fantastic. It's Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey talks all that trash, and he has always been a talker. And if you don't like guys that talk, you're going to hate Jalen Ramsey. But when they can back it up is when I love it. And that hit, which was completely clean after the bogus call on him earlier in the game, it was so – I just got so excited when he just – you don't see hits like that much in the NFL anymore, but it was clean, and it was at a pivotal moment. You needed a big play, so I'm giving the game ball to Jalen Ramsey, and that's no petty game ball, as they said last year.
I want to say something about that real quick because my wife had to go pick up my kids they were gone for the weekend. She comes back to see Boswell knock through that 60-yarder, which is her favorite player. When that play happened with Ramsey at the end, and I start screaming, and she's like, are they going to throw a flag on that? I'm like, they can't. Because her question was...
They could.
Because her question was, is he allowed to do that? I'm like, he's knocking the ball away. If they throw a penalty on that... people would have been the story about the officiating and everything across the NFL. That's the kind of football play you want to see made in that moment. And the penalty that was called on him was absolute crap.
And when Mike Tomlin said after the game, like there are players that make a play that makes you a Steeler, he might as well have just been talking about Jalen Ramsey because that was that play. He's now a Steeler. But let's continue. Brandon Diaz gives us $4.99. He said Ramsey equals wow. Rodgers, not an issue. Boz, pay him whatever he wants. That's how you show you deserve money. Cam, the defensive line's a liability. Go Steelers. Let's continue with this. Steel Dog 88 kind of chimes in a similar $5 tip. Thank you all very much. Offensive line and defensive line very sloppy. Broderick Jones on thin ice. Cam looked out of shape. I will say this. Defensive line, and we'll get into the minutia here in a second. There were some players that looked very, very out of shape. You could tell they weren't in game shape yet. And so this is when you don't play them in the preseason. This is the risk there. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've been sounding that bell, pounding the table on you got to play these guys. And I was thinking that right away when there was a pass from Ramsey to Metcalf that looked like they were not in sync early on. Even though they scored on that drive, there were some things that were very concerning. Yeah, but when those guys don't play, they need a little bit of action. And those games, those scrimmages in practice against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or whoever, they're not the same as they don't simulate real game like you think they would. So, no, I felt like there were some guys out of shape. I'm not going to completely point the finger at Cam. They have never done well against Breece Hall and the Jets in about 3 or 4 years. And when they play them, Breece Hall seems to tear them up. And that is a good, I told you that's a good offensive line, even with losing their big guy. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree.
All right, Dave, thoughts on that? What did you think about in terms of the conditioning and stuff like that?
Preseason's not going to help you. Preseason's not going to help you with conditioning because you don't play long enough in the preseason to help you to get into conditioning to where you're going to be ready to play in the fourth quarter. So to me, anyone who wants to talk about they need to play more in the preseason to be in more condition, no, that's not going to help you come the fourth quarter because Jeff, you're a fitness guy.
Yes.
You could probably explain it better than I could. But when people were saying about the defensive line and everything, and some people were saying about Cam looking out of shape, maybe here's what people fail to realize. There was even people on our open thread that someone said, boy, Dean Lowry's looking pretty rough. 94 is not Dean Lowry.
No, that's
94 is YA Black.
Yeah.
And honestly, they're like, oh, Cam. In the second half, when Cam was in there, the run defense was doing well. They put YA Black in there for Cam, and 2 plays they ran right at him.
Yep.
16 yards, 17 yards.
Yeah.
When they said, oh, big hole. Now, I love YA Black. I do. And I wanted to see him play a lot in this game. I thought he deserved it. But he was also a 5th-round draft pick who was playing in his first NFL game. And so to me, if he was a problem in places, that's something that's a little bit easier to improve on than other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer your question, this is why, no, you're right, Dave. You're not going to play enough snaps for a starter like Cam Hayward to get you into game shape. But when you see, and we'll talk about injuries now, Deshaun Elliott left with a knee injury. We saw it get twisted up on the freaking turf. Gosh, I hate that turf. That doesn't happen on grass, by the way. That never happens.
And it's that stupid MetLife turf.
Yes, it's that grass would not do that. But still, he's being evaluated with his knee injury. Also, Malik Harrison has a knee injury, and Joey Porter Jr. has a hamstring, which they said tightened up a little bit. And so since it tightened up, they pulled him so it didn't get worse. Those hamstring injuries, this is when I'm going to say, you know what? These guys are not being conditioned properly to get them ready for the rigors. This is when
that's the more concerning thing than them being winded in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You're never going to simulate that.
Yeah, you're going to get winded in the fourth quarter. Yeah. All right, so we got two more super chats here before we get started with things. Steeler fan 69 gives us $5. Always some humor. He said, Dave, see if Brian can answer this. I'm doing it, but that's fine. What do you get if you cross Vincent Van Gogh with rocker George Thorogood? Brian?
I already read it.
Okay.
I don't know.
1 bourbon, 1 scotch, and 1 ear.
Oh, I love it.
And then Maddie TCG Collects gives us $1.99. I don't see anything there. If we see something, we'll answer that question. But thank you for the tips. Everyone that's given us money, we do appreciate it. It's good for the cause. Let's start, as we always do, on the offensive side of the football. And we always start with the quarterback play. Mr. Aaron Rodgers, man, what a performance. 22 of 30 for 244 yards. 8.1 yard average, 4 touchdowns, also was sacked 4 times, and he had a rating of 136.7. Gentlemen, let's talk a little A-Rod. Brian, I'll let you go first.
What happens if he doesn't get sacked 4 times? And the thing about that, I would say 3 out of the 4 sacks, and I don't know, I've got to go back and watch it, but they weren't because he was too old and too slow. It's because he had a chance. He didn't have a chance.
Oh, yeah. I don't put many of those sacks on him, but that's just me. Dave, what were your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers?
Let's see. One of the sacks was more on him because when he went to cut up, you could see that he didn't have it. That was a Broderick Jones one, but that was where bottom line is the pass rusher disengaged Jones to then be able to step into Rodgers because of where Rodgers moved to. Those kind of things happen. There was plenty other bad ones by Broderick Jones. One of them was actually Kenny Gainwell made a nice initial pickup, but then couldn't stay with the guy who then came through and got him. You can see that Aaron Rodgers is not going to buy you a lot of time back there. That's something I think that we learned today, but Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to know what to do back there. So it's kind of a trade-off. I mean, it was frustrating from the Steelers' defensive standpoint to look and see, oh, there's Justin Fields. Oh, get to him. Oh, he eludes. Oh, he gets away. Oh, he's doing that stuff. That's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers is also going to make the other plays that you couldn't get otherwise. I thought Aaron Rodgers gave the Steelers what they expected him to do, which was better cerebral quarterback play, making the right decisions. Although I really wish he just would have thrown that one screen into his feet rather than complete it for a 5-yard loss. But it still wasn't perfect, but it was still good. And I'm like, my goodness, just to know that the offense, there was going to be a possibility for them to do something every time they touch the ball.
I haven't had a feeling about a quarterback like this since Ben Roethlisberger in terms of what you just said, Dave, that you feel like every time he's out there, you have the opportunity to make something happen. And with a play that got me, that I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm all in, was a play that we didn't even get to see because freaking CBS was going to let's go to CBS and on a game recap.
Let's go to New York.
Let's go to New York for the Browns and Bengals throwing a touchdown to Noah Fant. Who gives a crap? If I wanted to watch the game, I would watch that game. And we see the ball flying in the air, incomplete over Johnny Smith's head. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And he catches him with 12 men on the field. And I was like, okay, this is the Aaron Rodgers that I've hated for all these years because he's so freaking smart and he gets you on plays like that. I know it was just one play, and I know it didn't amount to anything. I don't even think they scored on it. They did get a first down, but still, we're not used to that. We haven't seen that type of quarterback play since Ben Roethlisberger was here in Pittsburgh. It was a great start. I don't think the issues with him are anything outside of his limitations with his physical ability right now. You know, he's not going to be the runner like we used to see in Green Bay. He's not going to be able to escape the pressure. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the offensive line to do their job, but I thought Aaron Rodgers looked really good. He threw some passes that were dropped. DK Metcalf had a couple passes that I thought should have been caught. So ultimately, if I'm giving grades, which we're not doing that, by the way, I'm giving him an A. Is anyone disagreeing with that?
Not because you have smart quarterback play.
Yeah.
You have veteran quarterback play. You've had stuff that you haven't had there in a long time.
All right.
Yeah, and I can tell you this. In the first half, there was only 3 incompletions by the Steelers. 2 of them were DK Metcalf drops, and 1 of them was a throwaway.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty good. I do want to read this before we talk. We're going to transition to the offensive line here, but Do Dirty gives us $5, says, I'm still surviving in the pool. God bless the Pittsburgh Steelers and no place else. Hey, the pool. If you pick the Steelers, congratulations. You're on to next week if you're in our Survivor League pool. Here we go. Matty TCG Collects gives us $4.99. He said 10 skulls and 25 bus tickets for Broderick Jones. Word to Chris Carter. So what happens from here with him? Let's talk about the offensive line. And I think this is a natural progression since we talked about the pressure that Aaron Rodgers had. He was sacked 4 times. The Jets have 7 quarterback hits, and they didn't run the ball. They couldn't run the ball. And the running back usage, we'll get to that in a second, but the Steelers as a team rushed the ball 20 times for 53 yards, a 2.7 yard average, no touchdowns, and a long run of 9 yards, which was by Jaylen Warren, and they ended up fumbling that, not fumbling it away, but they ended up having to punt on that series. I'm going to go to Dave first, Brian, no offense. He's our offensive line guy.
Good.
What was your take? I thought the interior didn't look bad in terms of pass protection. It was the tackles that got beat at times, but there was no push in the running game.
Yeah, I need to go back and look more at the running game because it's hard to see it during the game,
right?
When on the run plays, because you really need to see it more from the what I call the coach's perspective with all 22 to see things wider, because you just kind of see them. They weren't getting push. That's one thing that you can see otherwise. So for the run game, they were able to. They weren't getting buried into the backfield in the run game when they were going straight forward. Honestly, I thought the best run game was up the middle, straight ahead. But you know what they want to do? They want to run it wide. They want to run it wide, and that still didn't seem to be a really big strength here today.
Okay, Brian, thoughts on the offensive line?
My daughter just convinced us to buy her these very weird-looking furry shoes. So my comments here are going to be sponsored by Uggs, because that's what I think when I think of the way the offensive line played. Ugg, and not just ugh, but ugly. I mean, really, you had some good things, but if you can't get that running game going, you need to get bailed out. And you had to get bailed out in this game by special teams and by Aaron Rodgers and your receivers. Don't get me wrong, but you almost lost it with 4 sacks, and you almost lost it with not being able to run the ball. So, yeah, I can't say, oh, there were some bright spots, because there may have been some here or there, but my eye test is like I had to clear my eyes again and go, oh, it still looks bad.
Well, it's awful for Broderick Jones, because here's a guy who had kind of quieted the critics a little bit in the preseason, and boy, are they going to be out in full force now. I mean, they are going to be ready to send this guy to guard or somewhere else. But an interesting point, Tyler W. gives us $1.99 and says, to be fair, the Jets play a very aggressive defense at the line of scrimmage. I will say this, and I'll wait till we get to the defense. There's something that Justin Fields told the CBS guys that they said during the game that just really rubbed me the wrong way. But we'll get to that when we get to the defensive side. What are you going to say, Dave?
I was going to say, I mean, we were just doing run protection so far, right? Or were you talking offensive line pass protection too? Okay.
Pass pro, anything.
Yeah. I mean, I know that for the most part, I thought Fautanu did a nice job. There was a couple plays in there. There was one time where he got ducked underneath and something of that nature. It really was Broderick Jones. But you look at it, they also weren't giving him a lot of help. And I think that's what they shouldn't have to, honestly. If you think about it, if you want an answer, that's the answer. But you don't like to have to make that be the answer, because what would be better is if your first-round draft pick that you traded up for a couple years ago could actually get the job done. So that's one of the things that I would definitely point out is about him is maybe you are going to have to give him a little bit more help. Let's just say this. I'm not saying that they never gave him help. I'm just saying on the plays where he gave up sacks, he is plays that it didn't seem like that he had help. But I'll also say I'm shocked that the Steelers offense could put up 34 points with the problems they had with the offensive line of the running game.
Yeah.
I mean, that they could, in spite of that, still put up 34 points.
Yeah, and some people will say, well, there was the fumble. And yes, there was the fumble that gave them great field position, but they still had to cash in on it. How many times in the past have we seen them get gifted field position, and what does it end up being? Are 3 points off of Chris Boswell's foot. That's it. So let's continue on down the path here, and let's talk about those pass catchers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are led by DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 7 targets, 83 yards. He had a 20.8 average, no touchdowns, and a long of 31. That nice catch and run, he was off to the races. Calvin Austin III, 4 catches, 70 yards. He had a touchdown, 6 targets. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 28. Ben Skoranek, 1 for 22 and a touchdown. Jaylen Warren, 2 for 22 and a touchdown. Johnny Smith, 5 for 15 and a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell, 3 for 4. This is a situation where, man, you forget about little Calvin Austin. We didn't get to see him in the preseason, and it turns out, hey, he's still a pretty good receiver. Brian, what did you think about the pass catchers?
First of all, and now this is not a slight, but DK Metcalf was the least impressive Steeler receiver, I thought, in this game, and I still thought he was great. I really loved having him on the field. But when I looked at the fact that it shows me that Arthur Smith and Zach Arth, they are, or Zach Azani, I can't remember who the wide receiver coach is.
Azani.
Zach something.
Azani.
So when I look at it, they have it schemed very well, and I like it, and that's what was the promise of the Arthur Smith offense. Right now, I mean, this might be premature, but I'm saying that you did not have to go crazy trying to find that wide receiver too, when you could count on a guy like Austin, which you weren't sure you can count on, when you could count on Jonnu Smith to be a weapon in this game because they're going to go to him, when you could throw to a running back, and you really couldn't count on throwing to a running back the last 2 years that well. And you have guys that didn't even touch the ball or see the field, and that's Roman Wilson. I don't know how many snaps Roman Wilson had in this game, if any.
He had some nice blocks.
Yeah, and we'll take that. But it was Aaron Rodgers seems to have the wide receivers re-energized, and they're playing together, and they believe in each other, and they actually believe they have a leader. So, but when you can spread it out, and we saw that first preseason game, and I didn't think that this was a bad thing when I saw it on the first preseason game. One of you brought it up. 16 different receivers in that first preseason game, which told me that they are going to be able to just whip the ball around and throw it to different guys and trust them. And in this game, I felt like they can trust their wide receivers. And don't get me wrong about Metcalf. He was the least impressive of the guys who started and had most playing time, but he was still very special.
Dave, what was your take on pass catchers?
Yeah, well, the way I would explain Metcalf is I would say he had the widest variety of with between dropping a couple. The one they said it looked like a drop. It's the Sauce Gardner got his hands on the ball. But then he really did make some nice plays. I mean, my goodness, that one, in his hands, Jonnu Smith almost catches it, and then it comes back to him. That was right?
Crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I'm not going to, but then he showed you with, his run after the catch and some of the stuff that he did there, that's, to me, that's just going to grow as this season goes. But I will say with the pass catchers, I think they all did a nice job. It was very surprising to have no targets for Roman Wilson or for Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
That if you told me that on Thursday when we did the preview, I would have been like, oh my, this game is rough. But no, I mean, my goodness, Skoranek had one target. Did Scotty Miller make it on the field? I don't remember seeing him.
No.
He obviously wasn't targeted either. So, but they still threw for 4 touchdowns. He had 240 some yards passing, put up 34 points. Maybe it's going to depend week to week on who they're playing and what the defense is doing, and they'll just be able to utilize other guys in different ways.
That's a good part about Darnell Washington, because Maddie TCG Collects gave us $1.99 and said, where was Darnell Washington? And he didn't get targeted, so he doesn't even show up on the stat line. My question was kind of not to go backwards, but I'm shocked they didn't use him more as a pass blocker to give help to Broderick Jones, who was getting annihilated at times on the left side. I'm shocked they didn't have him out there to be a little bit of help, because it looked like they needed it, but the Steelers were pretty strong in their thoughts and opinions on how they wanted to attack this team. I thought the pass catchers I think they'll expand as the year goes on, and it'll be almost a week-by-week thing. I think only DK Metcalf, in my opinion, is going to be that he's going to get his targets. Although I thought for sure the 5 targets that was the line was just such an easy pick. Of course he gets 4.
Well, you mean receptions?
Yeah. What did I
say? Okay, because he was targeted 7 times.
He was targeted 7 times. Yeah, if he doesn't drop the one easy pass early, he hits the 5, but still. All right, let's go to the running game. Boy, a lot to talk about here. The Steelers rushing was interesting. Jaylen Warren has 11 carries for 37 yards, a 3.4 average. Kenneth Gainwell, 7 carries for 19 yards. Aaron Rodgers has a -1. And Caleb Johnson, and that was a kneel down, by the way. He has Caleb Johnson, 1 carry for -2 yards. I don't know. And when the snap totals are out, it's going to be very interesting to see how many snaps Kenneth Gainwell was out there more than Jaylen Warren. And maybe it's not as skewed as I think, but I had some serious questions about the running back usage. Brian, I'll let you go first.
First and foremost, I did not think Jaylen Warren was that bad. I thought he was pounding. I thought he was pinballing. I liked the way he looked out there. I think with more carries, he would have upped that average, and I thought he would have had a pretty good game. But they are definitely not a running team. The weird thing for me, and you said it perfectly, we need to check it out more, but it seemed like Kenny Gainwell was designated RB1 on the Steelers depth chart in this game. It felt like that they felt that he was more important out there. And I think it comes down to the fact that they had a lot of third downs here because the running game was not perfect. And I think it comes down to the fact that they wanted to use him more as a pass catcher in this game. But the handoffs to Gainwell, I thought that was a misplacement of use of your guys out there.
All right, Dave, what's your thoughts on the running backs and the running back usage?
I honestly don't have any problem with it. I said, the Steelers Q&A where I ducked in for just a minute and then I said put it in the live chat as I was watching. I expected Caleb Johnson to not even get 5 carries in this game. Everyone wanted to talk about Caleb Johnson. Oh, he's going to be the guy. Is he going to take over by week 1? And I'm like, who's to say he's going to take over ever? That's not the way I expected the Steelers to play it. I didn't think he would get many touches, although I thought he did all right returning the kicks, other than putting one on the ground that they luckily got back. But I'm not surprised. I mean, that's why they had Jaylen Warren and as the RB1 and Kenneth Gainwell listed as RB2 on the depth chart. And I'm not surprised that they didn't. I'm not surprised that they made sure they didn't overwork Jaylen Warren and that they rotated them in more throughout the game. I don't think that's what we're always going to see, but it didn't really surprise me. It's not necessarily what I expected, but it didn't surprise me.
All right. Very good. So we talked about the offensive line. I can't add too much to the running backs. They didn't run the ball well. It just was odd. It was a weird game offensively.
They didn't have a lot of space to run either. So
No, not at all. But they also, and when you look at the numbers, the final offensive numbers, they threw 30 passes and they ran it 20 times. So the game's going to dictate what you're going to do. It was definitely more pass than run. And if you asked me before going into the game, I would have said they're probably going to throw the ball more than they run it. And they did that. So there you have it. All right. Anything else? Play calling you want to touch on, Brian? Anything you want to add about Arthur Smith before we go over to the defensive side?
I thought it was a well-called game. I just thought I thought it was a little precarious. I thought it was a little weird, like I said, about the use of the running backs. But other than that, I like the game he called, and I really like this offense.
Dave, any thoughts on the play calling?
My thing is, did it feel like Aaron Rodgers could go out there and kind of do whatever he felt they should do? I did not get the feeling that he was being handcuffed in any way at all during that game. And that's what I was not worried about, but that's what I wanted to see more than anything with the offense and the play calling and the style. It seemed like they were meshing well together for what you wanted to see in just the first week of the season.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers said in his press conference time that he's getting to the point where he can finish Arthur Smith's sentence before he says that he's expecting what he's going to do. So Tyler W. gives us $1.99 and said, credit to A.R. Smith, schemed open wide receivers and 3 WAO touchdowns. I'm assuming I don't know what that means. WAO.
Wide butt open.
Oh, wide ass open. Wide ass open.
That's what I assume is what that was.
Dave
now I want to know.
Dave said butt, Brian. Dave said butt.
My gosh, I need to go to church now.
Gee golly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. For those watching live on any platform, we're not going anywhere. For those that are listening on audio, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, Steeler fans, we are back, and we're going to talk about the defensive side. This could get lengthy. The defensive side of the ball was rough, but let's get to some super chats first. Justin Gall gives us $19.99 and said it was refreshing to finally send 5, and in some cases 6 rushers over and over again. Congrats to Fields for lighting us up across the middle, threading that needle over and over again. Great counter on his part. So thank you for the $19.99 tip. Justin, we do appreciate it. Tom Plays Games gives us $1. $1 for win. We're 1-0. The Steelers are 1-0. He's giving us $1. Thank you, Tom. Tom Muir, as he used to be called. Appreciate it. He said $1 per W. Here we go. Yep. So the defense. Where to start with the defense? I think we start with the rush defense. I know we normally talk about Justin Fields, but it's going to tie in here. The New York Jets rushed for, as a team, 39 carries, 182 yards, a 4.7-yard average, 3 touchdowns, an 18-yard long. Breece Hall led the way, 19 carries for 107, a 5.6-yard average. That's incredible. Justin Fields had 12 carries for 48 yards, a 4-yard average. Isaiah Davis, 2 carries for 18 yards, and Braylon Allen did get a touchdown. Justin Fields had 2 rushing, by the way, on 6 carries for 9 yards. Brian, I'm just going to throw it to you. What do you think?
Yikes. Really, I know where you're going on the Justin Fields thing. They were so concerned about Justin Fields killing them that they didn't know where to go. And there was that one touchdown he had then when he made my list, when he did the stupid airplane run, and I'm like, all right, let's knock his head off now. He's no longer my guy. I'm not rooting for him. But no, I thought he had a heck of a game. I really did. And they don't run that well without the threat of Justin Fields. I'm telling you, because this was a team that was ranked 31st last year, and they had an average of 91 yards, and they nearly doubled it. What did they
exactly have? Doubled it at 182?
Okay, so they doubled it. And that was thanks to Justin Fields because, he might have had, 48 yards, you said?
Yeah, I believe so.
But it was the threat of Justin Fields that made everything happen. There was a play where Watt just walloped the running back, but the cameras, and he got the tackle for loss, but the cameras and everybody thought it was Fields or someone else taking the ball the other way. There was so much misdirection. There was so much confusion. Like I said, that one touchdown where he had that really scared a lot of Steeler fans in the fourth quarter when he ran around the right side and there was nobody there. It was just they were confused by the whole thing, which makes me stop and think, if Justin Fields is doing that to you, what's Lamar Jackson going to do to you?
Well, it almost looked like the Jets just watched the Ravens film and said, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Not many teams can duplicate that. Justin Fields showed he is capable in a way. And Todd Williams gives us $4.99, and he says, do you guys have a Landon Roberts phone number? Yeah. Malik Harrison left with a knee injury, so he was supposed to be that Landon Roberts thumper. And with him not in there, they had to go lighter. I don't think Cole Holcomb got a lot of run in this game.
No, I didn't see it.
I'd have to check the snap counts. I don't remember seeing him out there, but still very interesting. And then also put this out there that Justin Gall gives us another $4.99. He said, watching DK Metcalf juke his first tackler over and over was awesome. Plus, turning on the Jets, fun to watch. Absolutely agree, 100%. Dave, what's your take on the run defense?
Brian really wants to say something before I do, don't you, Brian?
Okay, good.
Vegas loves Landon Roberts. They're not giving him
You
up.
gave him an opportunity to talk about his favorite team, Jeff.
Yeah, that's true.
Take it.
That's my bad.
So
no, that's the Jaguars.
Yeah. All right. So the run defense. Brian brought up a really good point. It was that threat of Justin Fields that did open up some other stuff, but still, it's not good enough. And it's funny because I kept trying to remind people. They're like, "Oh, it's more of the same from last year." The Steelers' run defense was really good last year until December. They were really good all season except for games they played in Baltimore. But that showed how they could, that's how you get them. And guess what? The Jets did that. Exactly what Jeff was saying. I'm going to say kudos to them. I'm also going to say this. Even though they lost their best offensive lineman for the season, they basically couldn't decide who to play at center. So that just meant that one of them bumped a guard. And this Jets team, we'll see how it plays out this year. They have the opportunity to be one of the top offensive lines in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the Steelers weren't going up against some slouch team that it's not like their defense was going up against the Steelers offensive line. We'll just say it that way. So, but you need more from that. And honestly, the concern is, I would say was in the game and is, it's the number of long runs. It's the number of times that once the running back gets past the line of scrimmage, they're breaking it for anywhere from 7 to 20 yards. That's the concern with the run game is those type of runs. The Steelers did have several times they were able to bottle them up. Not nearly as many, but those numbers were less than the number of plays where I would say the Jets got 5 or more yards rushing. There was a lot more of those. So to me, it's not like it's not like with that every time Breece Hall touched the ball, he got 5.6 yards. It's that too many times he was getting 16, 17, or 18 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you said, David, there's times when you're watching it on TV and you're following the football, it looks like, man, they got him bottled up. And then he breaks one big. It's like, well, is someone not doing their job? For instance, you might see TJ Watt in the backfield, but is TJ Watt pushing way too high up that arc? And next thing you know, it's leaving that cutback lane. Or is it maybe the interior defensive lineman's not doing his job? Whatever. I don't give a crap anymore.
Hey.
I just want him to fix it, because if the Jets are going to do this to the Steelers and they don't fix it, and I'm sorry, Derek Harmon is not the fix. It's going to be an improvement from what we saw, but it is not the fix. If you think, well, once Derek Harmon comes back, they'll be absolutely fine. A-okay. Well, I just disagree. I'll put it that way. Yeah. I just strongly disagree with that.
You're right. It'll help. But honestly, exactly what you're talking about, Jeff, is if anyone was excited to watch NFL football and watched either of the two games before 1 o'clock, meaning Thursday or Friday, the game on Friday night ended because a defensive pass rusher was overzealous trying to get to the quarterback and didn't take the lane he was supposed to, which allowed the quarterback to spring free and run for the first down to end the game.
Right.
Those are the kind of things. I don't know whose responsibility it was for Justin Fields on that 4th down play. If you are wanting TJ Watt to crash down on the handoff, then you have to have somebody else assigned out there for the Justin Fields coming around.
And we saw that. We saw Patrick Queen was that guy on a couple plays where he followed Fields afterwards.
But there was one on the other side that J.J. Watt pointed it out how good the Steelers did. It was Alex Highsmith crashing down, and who had Fields? Peyton Wilson, and he was right there to make the play. So there's somebody's responsibility. I don't know if TJ Watt was supposed to have outside container, if he was supposed to crash down on that. But if he's supposed to crash down, somebody else is supposed to be out there. I don't know who it was, unless one of the players admits to it in the locker room afterwards. They probably won't know for sure. But those are the kind of things that you can't have. But these are also the kind of things that you need that there's problems when you're having cerebral breakdowns. Those are one thing you can fix. If you're just getting physically beaten, that's hard to improve on. If the Jimmies and Joes are just better, if their Jimmies and Joes are just better than your Jimmies and Joes, that's really tough to overcome. So hopefully, I'm kind of hoping maybe it was just some mental breakdowns at the time, because hopefully in weeks to come that can be fixed.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Once upon a time, the Steelers had a very interesting approach to this style of offense, and it was with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. The approach was, I want you to hit Lamar every time, whether he has the football or not. And then if
he makes that fake, he's fair game.
Exactly. Yeah. If he puts the ball out there, you can hit him. And they stopped doing it. Now TJ did Man, he decked Justin Fields today. It was a brutal hit.
Even the announcers thought that was a tackle for loss because they thought Fields had the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did too until they went back and showed otherwise.
But at the same time, it's like, well, why did they stop doing that? I mean, they did it for success. And Justin Fields at RPO, they were doing it a ton. I don't know. I don't know why they stopped doing that, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens. But
if I could say one other thing.
Sure.
I've got to give kudos to Brian because I gave him a hard time Thursday when he gave his score of 30-27. And I'm like, you think this Steelers defense is going to give up 27 points? Boy, I mean, I talk about getting it right with Caleb Johnson not getting very many touches. I completely whiffed on I thought the defense is what was going to have to drive this team, and the offense did enough to win. I mean, the offense needed all of those 34 points to win this game today.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys real quick before we move on to the pass defense. Do you think, in your Steelers' heart of hearts, that the Steelers can fix this run defense, or is it just this is the new norm and we're just going to have to deal with it? Brian, I'll let you go first.
I'm worried that they can't, but yeah, I think there's a possibility that they can because they found a way to do it last year until it broke down at the end. Why is it happening now? If we go back to, like Dave said, cracking people, they can find. This is way too early to give up on this defense, the run defense.
Dave, thoughts on that?
Yeah, remember in 2020 when the Steelers went 11-0 and they had the short passing game and everything rolling, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they might have beat Baltimore, but Baltimore felt like they showed the recipe for stopping the Steelers offense. Well, guess what? That might have been what Baltimore did last year when it came to running the ball in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if every team is capable of running the ball with the Steelers like that. But like I said, that Jets offensive line is pretty decent. I'd put them better than what the Ravens offensive line was even last year. And not everyone's going to have that quarterback and good running back threat in that regard. But if you do, that's exposed a problem for the Steelers. The question is, teams that aren't as successful being able to do that, will the Steelers be able to stop the run against them like they did last year? Because we don't have anything else to go on other than last year because it's only one game in.
This is the what I wanted to talk about in the first half. I said I'm going to wait till we get to defense. So if y'all listen to the CBS broadcast, JJ Watt, or maybe it was Ian Eagle, I can't remember who it was. They were saying that they met with Justin Fields this week prior to the game. And they said, what do you think about them? And they kind of have a feel for what you want to do. And Justin Fields said, they might have a feel for what I want to do, but I know exactly what they're going to do. And the fact that he said that, and then they go out and they have the success that they have, brings up something that Coach Kevin Smith has talked about a lot on his podcast, on the Here We Go podcast, and that is that he quoted Julian Edelman, who has his own podcast, when he said he was watching the Steelers play last year, and he's like, oh my gosh, they're doing the same checks they did when I played, and I haven't played forever. At what point is this team going to start to, you have all these new pieces, and Justin Fields is saying to probably Aaron Glenn and the coaching staff, when we do this, they're going to do that. And what did the Steelers do? They went right out and they did exactly that. I just don't understand, when are they going to start changing some things up to make teams actually think outside the box and have to adjust? It just doesn't seem right. Brian, I'll give you a chance to talk about that if you'd like.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly that they've got to change their looks, change what they do, change cadences, whatever. If Julian Edelman's saying this, he's not the only one that said it over the years. Tyler Boyd has said it. We've heard all these different guys say it, but you have a guy who was intimate with the program last year, and it was Justin Fields. And now the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come in, or Brandon Eccles isn't going to come in and say, oh, this is what the Jets are going to do, because this is a completely different team that they were on. So, yeah, if everything seems to be what it was, and you've got a playbook on somebody, and you've got intel on somebody, you're going to be able to stop them. Will Seattle be able to do the same thing? We don't know, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, yeah. Do they do some of the same things? Yeah. Are they also willing to change things up? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys thought that there was a change. Specifically in this game, I was concerned early with Darius Slay covering Garrett Wilson. It was not going well.
Nice.
And because in the first half, what was it? Wilson was it 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. The only time I saw him get a catch in the second half, it was Joey Porter Jr. that was there. Wilson had 2 receptions for 27 yards in the second half and had the ball knocked away from him there at the end of the game. I think that the Steelers changed that up a little bit. So I understand that there's a certain way you do stuff, but at the same time, when something doesn't work, you have to be willing to do something else. And that was one regard that I feel like the Steelers did. Now, will they do that with everything? That's why we have to tune in and watch the games.
Yeah. All right, Justin Gall gave us $9.99. I want to give him a shout out and also read his message. He said, I was so hopeful that Arthur Smith would be throwing on 1st and 10, 2nd and 3, 3rd and 1. Isn't that the point of Aaron Rodgers? Look at Herbert the other night. We slipped right back to predictability. So I thought they mixed it up at times, and I thought that they did give him, Aaron Rodgers, that is, a little bit of leniency. We talked about that. Dave, you want to say something?
Well, in Coach Tomlin's press conference after the game, the one thing that he did say was, you want to be able to turn your back to the line on 1st and 2nd down, meaning run the play action pass where the quarterback is not looking at the defense and then can turn. But if he's going to turn around and know that he's going to have someone right in his face, it's a lot harder to do that.
Right.
So I think at times, did they fall back into what people would call predictability? Maybe, but that was also because what they were wanting to do, they weren't able to do. And think about it. If you're talking about predictability, what options? Think about it. It's 1st and 10. What could you do? You could run inside. You could run outside. You can play action. You can throw deep. You can throw short. There's not a lot of options. So the fact that they, as long as they're not doing the exact same thing every time on 1st down, which I didn't think they were at all, it would be a problem. I didn't see the predictability, but of course they're still going to do things at times when it makes sense to do them.
Yeah. Wilson Pava gives us $1.99. Said this year's defense is last year's offense and vice versa. That's very interesting. That is definitely something that I will be talking about on tomorrow's Let's Ride podcast. Make sure you check that out. But let's go to the pass defense. We haven't talked about that just yet. Justin Fields, as a thrower, goes 16 of 22 for 218 yards, a 9.9 yard average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, was only sacked 1 time. It was a big play, by the way, and a 119.1 rating. In terms of receivers, Garrett Wilson, he was 7 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Breece Hall, 2 for 38. Tyler Johnson, 2 for 31. Mason Taylor, 1 for 20. Josh Reynolds, 2 for 18. And Jeremy Ruckert, 2 for 16. What did you guys think about the pass defense? Brian, I'll start with you.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Did it seem like Justin Fields had a magic wand here? Because he was threading. There was not a lot of time where guys were wide open. There were some time, but a lot of his were, I don't even know if I want to call them contested catches. I want to call them pinpoint, just perfection that if you had one more millisecond that they're not going to be completed. He was completing throws that I thought, oh, interception. Seriously, he was completing these balls that I don't know. I thought it was a video game, and he was a lot better passer than I've ever seen out of Justin Fields this evening. I don't think that there's really too much concern, because at the end of the game, when the rubber was meeting the road, I was not concerned about the Jets passing game. And I told my buddy that we were watching the game with, of course he's a pessimist, but I told him, I said, look, I don't, that's fine. If you have to give the ball back to Justin Fields and he has to throw the ball, I'm not worried about him in that situation when you know he's not going to run. He's not going to hurt you.
Dave, thoughts on the pass defense?
Yeah, the pass defense in this game the Jets' passing game in this game was really set up by their run. That's really what it was. I mean, think about it. That first drive, they only threw one pass. Even on 3rd and 11, they still chose to run the ball. That they were really leaning on the run in order to set the pass. They only had 22 passing attempts. They had 21 rushing attempts in the first half alone. Let alone, what was it, 37 for the game?
I believe so.
But if you look at that passing game in that first half, Justin Fields was 9 for 11 in the first half for 134 yards and a touchdown. His 2 incompletions was the throwaway where Ramsey hit him and there was the big kerfuffle, and then the other one was a ball that T.J. Watt batted down in the first half. So he nine passing attempts, 134 yards in the first half. The difference was I said 9. It's 9 completions. It was 11 passing attempts. 11 passing attempts in the second half as well, but for only 84 yards. I think the Steelers' pass defense, the biggest thing they did is they adjusted, and that even happened after losing Deshaun Elliott. He went out. That was in the first half where he went out, correct?
Yes.
They called him doubtful in the second quarter. Then they called him out in the third quarter. And then they didn't put Joey Porter Jr. back out there. I'll tell you one thing, especially when it comes to the secondary, they putting Darius Slay on their best wide receiver without help over the top. I don't know if they did that a lot or not. I didn't think was the wise move. I don't think that Darius Slay comes in to be the one to make Joey Porter the 2 to make them better. I think Joey Porter is still the 1, with Darius Slay being an upgrade over what they had at the 2 last year, and Jalen Ramsey just being a guy that you can play him anywhere that could do anything at any time that you call on him to do. He could be your number 1 outside corner. He could be your slot. He could be your safety, everything. So that's how I think the Steelers got better there. I thought the pass defense it was especially improved in the second half.
Well, and people are, I'm watching the game like, man, these guys are wide open. Well, why? Because they're staring in the backfield. They're thinking they're going to run it. And so you can see these players, whether it's Peyton Wilson, they're slow to react because their eyes, like you said, Dave, everything was set up by the run. And so when you're running these RPOs and he's keeping the ball, or he's even just doing a little play action fake here, they have to bite. They have to respect it. And so interesting, though. And I think the secondary, we'll see what the Joey Porter Jr. injury looks like heading into week 2. Deshaun Elliott, we saw Chuck Clark a lot because obviously he filled in for Deshaun Elliott. It's not good in the secondary in terms of injuries, that's for sure. But hopefully Joey Porter's hamstring is not serious and he'll be able to work his way back before week 2. I want to get a $5 tip from Heath Davis. He said, El Jefe, 2 questions. The offense seemed to thrive relying on Warren. Can he be the bell cow? And then when is the Steel Curtain Network charity golf tournament? I'll answer number 2 quickly. I'd love to do a charity golf tournament. That would be a lot of fun. But we'll say that's in the works. The first, I don't think that they want a bell cow back. I don't think that that's what Mike Tomlin desires anymore. And I don't know if Jaylen Warren is that guy. Brian, any thoughts on that?
Well, for me, okay. Actually, I'm here. Okay. For me, I really don't. I don't even know, because I don't think they consider themselves a running team. I think they tried to tell you at the beginning of the season they were going to be a running team, but now with what they have, I don't think Arthur Smith considers them a running team, or considers them having the kind of guy that they would consider a bell cow back. So I think with that, if they don't feel that they have the personnel, they're going to not try to run the ball as much, but run when it's necessary to try to set everything up. But the more success they have passing, you might see, I don't want to say abandon the run, but it might not be as crucial because they might find more ways that they find success.
All right. Dave, any thoughts on that?
I think it's just something they're going to figure out as they go. That I understand in week 1. I know a lot of people are like, why so much Gainwell? Why so much Gainwell? Well, they weren't wanting Johnson, and they weren't wanting to overload Warren. So that was the byproduct of that. And honestly, I didn't have a problem with it. Other than the offensive line, I was pretty happy with the offense. Just wish they could run better.
All right, well, let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. The Steelers do win. Let's keep that in mind. Even though the defense didn't look great, they do win the football game, 34-32. So we should keep that in the back of our minds. But Brian, I'll let you go first. What are your final thoughts?
For those of you that say, well, the Steelers have the worst rushing defense in the game, the worst defense in the game right now, look at the offense. They probably have a top 5 offense after week 1. Now, is that going to continue? I don't know. I think their scoring is going to be up in the National Football League all of this year because of the way where you start out. It seems that games are going to come down to the wire because where teams start off on a kickoff. You know, you almost have to run things out at the end of the game. I liked a lot more than I hated from the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I liked the passion and the heart and the camaraderie. I tell you what, Mike Tomlin said on his post-game press conference, glad Jalen Ramsey's on my team. I'm glad Jalen Ramsey's on our team too until he does something stupid. But as long as he doesn't, but I think he's going to make more plays than he is being stupid. So with that being said, I mean, he's just an aggressive guy. He's tough. He's the firepower that you need to win. And I really like having that guy there. I like having a Jonnu Smith there. I still like having a Pat Freiermuth there. I love having Calvin Austin III there. I feel like they have taken the recipe, the ingredients that they have. This is like one of those shows where they say, here's the ingredients, make something yummy. Well, I think our taste buds are going to like what the offense has to do. And I don't think that this is a defense that is going to roll over and say, okay, we're labeled and we're done after week 1.
Good stuff. Dave, final thoughts?
All right. Well, remember, people keep saying this. Yes, you need to look at everything that you're doing and see where you can improve and have a better product on the field. So you don't have to worry about this being the case in the future. But the Steelers won this week. Okay. They won partially because they have the best kicker in the NFL. So you've got to remember that. It was fantastic to see that. You saw Calvin Austin making plays, including drawing a pass interference. I think he kind of drew another one.
Yes,
it looked like his arm got held.
Should have been called.
But we forget about that because Boz knocked through a 60-yarder. Would it have been better to end the game on a shorter field goal? Sure, but it still all worked out. So remember, this is you want to improve while winning along the way. So you've got to win some of these games like this as you try to get closer to where you want to be. My biggest fear when it comes to the Steelers offense is I don't want them to become one-dimensional where all they can do is pass, so therefore teams will just send extra pass rushers to not give them time to throw the ball. You've got to establish that running game. You've got to show that you can protect the quarterback, things of that nature. But I'm not going to complain about putting up 34 points. Yeah. I don't think Steelers fans were going to be satisfied with everything in this game unless the Steelers came out and let's say they won this game like 34-3 instead, because then it would have showed everything going. I expected the defense to be way better than what they were today, and they showed that that's not where they are right now. So all you can do is get back to work, go back on the field in Pittsburgh next Sunday to go out there and have a chance at getting another W.
I agree 100% with what you guys said. Now I'll finish my final thoughts with this. Jeremy Betts on Friday, when I had him on my Let's Ride podcast, he brought up the Monday Night Football game when Justin Fields was in Chicago. That's the Cassius Marsh game, if you recall that game. He said Justin Fields lit up the Steelers, and I remember that. I remember watching that game thinking, oh my gosh, like he looks really good and the Steelers look really bad. He said if they let him go and they build around him, that's what it could look like. And that's exactly what it looked like. Yet the Steelers were able to come out on top of this one. And so sometimes you just have those matchups that might not be favorable for you at that time. And that's one of these things that you can leave these games with a win That's a huge win. So 34-32, the Pittsburgh Steelers win. I encourage everyone out there to check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. That's our website. We already have a lot of great post-game content up there. We have more coming. An injury update from me. Dave will have, I think he'll hopefully be doing a game ball article. We'll talk about that.
We'll
talk about that.
We don't have the full capability.
I have
an idea too. We were going to talk about that after the show. Yeah,
but
got to break down that fourth wall, right, Brian?
Oh yeah.
Check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Check out all of our podcasts, like the Mike Tomlin press conference recap, which is already live on our audio only feed. Wherever you get your podcasts, there's Steel Curtain Network. But that does it for us on another episode of the Steelers Post Game Show. We'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Steelers win. Enjoy it. We'll see you next time.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.